want to introduce somebody here, and that's Laura Wells. She wants to come up and say a few words. She's also a candidate in California, and it'd just be nice to hear something from her, and with that, I'll sit down.
Thank you. I actually thought I was going to speak later, but now is great. I ran as I'm Laura Wells, and I ran as the Green Party candidate for governor of California in 2010. And early on in 2010, a friend of mine said to me, forget talking about fair taxes, read Web of Debt, and promote a state bank for California. And so I looked into it and did exactly that. I had two things that I talked about. You know, as a candidate that's not in what I'm starting to call the Titanic parties, because they're huge and they're heading straight for the iceberg. Their leaders are not turning aside. But you get just a little window of opportunity to get a point across. So I decided to have just two main points: fair taxes and the state bank. Now the great thing, and I had advisors that say, well, don't talk about the state bank because it's too esoteric, people won't understand it. And I ignored that advice and put it, when I handed out leaflets, on one side I would have a state bank for California, frequently asked questions, and on the other side I would talk about the miserable 2/3 majority to raise revenue that keeps a safeguard for the rich in California. But what I discovered is that, you know, when I would be passing out leaflets at rallies and things like that, and people try not to make eye contact and try to, you know, get by you and not take your leaflet. But I would say that find out about a state bank, invest in California, not Wall Street. And they'd go, okay. So, you know, they sort of resented that I'd gotten them, but they wanted the leaflet. They actually wanted to hear about that. And one of the things that was really true was that people at some level, especially now, but I think even 10 years ago, when people were saying, well, people are deluded, or they think that, you know, they don't understand the problems, at some level, I think people have understood for a very long time that the problems are extremely deep, and that's why there's so many antidepressants and so much, you know, addiction to everything from coffee to sugar to drugs to, you know, alcohol, everything. That people at some level have known that there are the problems. But what they want, one of the things that they want to know is, as like Hazel Henderson and Bill Still and people have said, is that we need some hope to keep going, to keep our energy going. I personally think that hope is an essential human nutrient. It's something that we really do need. And the state bank was providing that for people. And they did seem to get it, you know, pretty quickly, you know, a publicly owned bank. They thought, yeah, and then you'd go, I'll give you an example. You know, again, you have a very small window if you're not a Titanic party, and so you have to learn to say things pretty quickly. We were on a TV show, and by we, I mean there are 3 other ballot qualified parties in California, and it's Libertarian and Green and the American Independent Party, also called the Constitution Party. So we were on an afternoon talk show on a TV station, and they said, well, we want to be fair because we know you don't get that much chance to talk, but we're going to give you an opportunity. We're going to ask you 3 questions, and you're going to have 30 seconds to answer each question. So then what they said is that, well, we know that you weren't invited to the debate. Well, as a matter of fact, I was arrested at one of the debates because somebody tried to give me a ticket to be in the audience of the debate, but the tickets were assigned to specific people, and I've never been arrested in my life. I don't know whether to be, you know, proud about that, but anytime they'd say, you have a chance of getting arrested if you don't want to move over there. So I would always, go like that. But the guy said, the security guard guy said, "You don't belong here." Those were not the magic words. And so they arrested me for trespassing at a private party at a gubernatorial debate when I was a governor's candidate. But I had another chance because I was on this TV show, as I was saying, and they gave us, and so they said, "We know you weren't at the debate, but if you were, what would you have said? You have 30 seconds. And so I said, I would have talked about a state bank where we can implement it, and it can partner with the local banks and credit unions, provide good loans to students, homeowners, and businesses, and take, at lower interest and fold that interest back into California and invest in California, not Wall Street." And so I'll wrap it up with that. I'm learning so much here. When I first heard that this was happening, I was just like, I'm going. I'm going. I don't care what else is happening. I'm going to Philadelphia this weekend. And to learn more about that, I'm thinking perhaps, I live in Oakland, which is a fabulous place, and its reputation is so off how wonderful that place is. And, and possibly work on doing a municipal bank. And Susan Harmon and I both live in Oakland, and really concentrate on the statement that we're spending almost whatever, it almost doubles the cost of everything we do in the government. The fact that we're borrowing money from these too big to fail banks, and that's stupid. Let's create a publicly owned bank in California and every other state in this country. Thank you.